Now with more American Enterprise Institute fellow Mark Thiessen and Democratic analyst Julie Roginski, both Fox News contributors. Welcome to both of you. Good to have you here tonight.
Great to see you.
There's a lot there. So let's start with the Paul Manafort issue. Mark, it's like a spy novel, but it could be serious if there are connections here. What's your take on it?
Well, first of all, this is why you don't hire somebody who was running the campaign of the pro-Russian Prime Minister of Ukraine to run your presidential campaign if you're a Republican. But the reality is Paul Manafort was on the job for 5 months and he was fired specifically because of the revelations about some of the stuff about Ukraine. So this is a guy who was hired to run the campaign. This stuff came out. There's more coming up now that you've just reported, but a lot of bad information came out during the campaign and he was fired. So I don't see how this is necessarily a stain on the Trump administration. He's not part of the Trump administration. He didn't play a limited role. He was the campaign chairman, so what Sean Spicer said before was wrong, but he wasn't there for a limited amount of time.
Julie, what do you say?
Well, I would say there's a lot of smoke there, not just related to Paul Manafort. The only part of the Republican platform, as you recall last summer, that the Trump campaign, if you believe Carter Page, Donald Trump himself, or if you believe Carter Page, when he reversed himself, Carter Page, perhaps at Paul Manafort's request, perhaps on his own initiative, decided to change. The only part that he decided to change was to change a pro-Russian plank to make it much more difficult for us to fund Ukrainian, as they would call rebels, as I would call freedom fighters, who are fighting Russian aggression. So constantly, there's all this smoke around Russia. The president continues to get hysterical anytime there's any implication about the fact that anybody on his team coordinated with Russia, something the FBI has said has happened and they've been investigating since the summer.
Now Congress wants to talk to Paul Manafort. Everybody wants to, keep digging into this. The problem that, as I see it, Mark, is that it's difficult to separate. The president perhaps, or the administration or the White House hasn't done a great job of clearly articulating how they see Vladimir Putin and where they see an opening for potentially working together on things and clearly delineating the areas where they find his behavior to be extremely egregious. So because they haven't done that, it allows these connections to kind of fester and people to say, well, maybe there is something there. Maybe there is something nefarious. Maybe they do want to help, Russian expansionism by aiding Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Martha. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why it's good to send Tillerson to Moscow to meet with Putin and to come to some kind of Russia policy. But the truth is that, Donald Trump during the campaign, he embraced Vladimir Putin. He said he was a strong leader. He was dismissive when people said on this network when he was being interviewed by Bill O'Reilly and said, well, he's a killer. He killed journalists. He's like, well, we kill a lot of people too. So this has been a big problem for Donald Trump. Is this embrace of Vladimir Putin, and therefore things that might otherwise be seen as innocent or just coincidental are seen as being part of a big conspiracy. This feeds the conspiracy theorists who are alleging some sort of collusion. It's entirely possible that Donald Trump's decision to embrace Vladimir Putin was simply bad policy judgment and had nothing to do with any kind of collaboration with the Putin.
It needs a lot of clearing up and articulating. Last, just quickly, Julie, because I got to go on Tillerson. The NATO meeting, not going to that. He's going to meet with the Chinese leader at Mar-a-Lago, which he wasn't included last time there was a head of state there. What do you make of his next moves?
Well, first of all, he needs to go and reassure NATO that we still stand by NATO and we still stand by our alliance that has been in force since the 1940s. He needs to make it very clear to Vladimir Putin that he's not there on behalf of ExxonMobil or as an ally, but he's there to negotiate very difficult things on behalf of the United States. And furthermore, I just want to say this isn't a conspiracy theory about Russia. The FBI has said there's coordination. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is our federal government
has not said that there's coordination or that there's collusion.
The FBI said investigating it. That's a conspiracy theory. That's not a conspiracy theory, though.
But tying those two things together is what has not been established, and we have to be very clear on that. That's exactly what they said is they are in the middle of, but did not confirm in any way. If they do, they do. But that doesn't happen.
Is what they're investigating.
All right, Julie and Mark, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you as always. So still